My name is Dr. Michael Turner, and I am 57 years old. I've spent more than 3 decades working as a physician in the United States, mostly helping people deal with the slow damage that modern life does to the human body. Obesity, chronic fatigue, joint pain, high blood pressure, anxiety. These are not rare problems anymore. They are everywhere. But something interesting happened about 10 years ago that completely changed the way I talk to my patients about exercise and healing. One afternoon, a man in his early 60s came into my clinic. He looked exhausted. He was overweight, his blood pressure was high, and his knees hurt so badly he could barely climb stairs. He told me something I had heard many times before. "Doctor, I know I should exercise, but I just don't have an hour every day." That sentence stayed in my mind for weeks, because the truth is, most people believe exercise only works if you spend long hours at the gym. They imagine complicated routines, machines, trainers, expensive memberships. But the human body was never designed around gym equipment. It was designed around movement. Simple, natural movement repeated consistently. That realization pushed me to start researching one specific type of short exercise routine that could trigger multiple beneficial responses in the body within a very short amount of time. I'm talking about something incredibly simple, a 10-minute movement routine. Not a miracle, not magic. Just 10 minutes of specific movements that activate muscles, stimulate circulation, and wake up metabolic processes that most people have allowed to fall asleep through years of sedentary living. The fascinating part is what happens inside the body during those 10 minutes. When muscles begin contracting rhythmically, they release signals known as myokines. These chemical messengers travel through the bloodstream and communicate with other organs, fat tissue, the liver, even the brain. That communication can begin shifting the body from a storage mode into a fat-burning mode. At the same time, circulation improves, oxygen delivery increases, and joints begin producing more synovial fluid, the natural lubricant that helps reduce stiffness and pain. But the key is choosing the right movements, not random exercises. Movements that recruit multiple muscle groups at once. Movements that elevate heart rate gradually without shocking the body. Movements that almost anyone, from a healthy 30-year-old to a cautious 70-year-old, can safely perform. The routine I eventually began recommending to my patients starts with a surprisingly simple movement, one that many people underestimate. But when performed correctly for just a few minutes, it begins activating one of the most powerful fat-burning systems in the entire body. And it starts with walking in place. If that sounds too simple, stay with me, because the way you perform that first movement makes all the difference. When done properly, those first few minutes begin preparing your body for the rest of the routine and for the changes that follow. Walking in place may sound almost too simple to be useful, but in medicine, we often rediscover that the body responds best to movements that are natural and familiar. When I ask my patients to begin the routine, I don't want them to just casually lift their feet. The goal is to make the body wake up gradually. So here is how the first part of the 10-minute routine begins. Stand straight with your feet shoulder width apart. Let your shoulders relax. Keep your spine tall, but not stiff. Then begin marching in place, slowly. Lift one knee, then the other. Your arms move naturally, the way they would when you are walking outside. For the first 2 minutes, the pace stays gentle. This is not about intensity yet. This is about circulation. When you start moving like this, something important happens inside your body. Blood begins flowing more efficiently through the large muscles of the legs, the quadriceps, hamstrings, and calves. These muscles are some of the largest metabolic engines in the human body. When they activate, they demand energy. At first, the body uses circulating glucose in the bloodstream, but as the movement continues, the body gradually begins drawing energy from stored sources, including fat tissue. But that's only part of the story. As circulation increases, Oxygen delivery improves. The heart begins pumping slightly faster, but still comfortably. The lungs expand more deeply. Even the brain receives improved blood flow. This is why so many patients tell me something interesting after just 2 or 3 minutes of this movement. They begin feeling more alert, not tired, not strained, just awake. And for people who have been sitting most of the day, whether in an office chair, a car, or on the couch, this gentle activation is incredibly important. It signals to the nervous system that the body is shifting from rest into movement. By the time you reach the 3rd minute, you slightly increase the pace. Not dramatically, just enough that your breathing becomes a little deeper. Now, the body begins activating additional muscle fibers, particularly in the hips and core muscles that stabilize the torso during walking. This is where something interesting begins happening with fat metabolism. Research shows that rhythmic, repetitive movement at moderate intensity encourages the body to begin using fat as a fuel source, especially when the activity continues for several minutes without interruption. So those first few minutes of marching in place are not wasted time. They are the ignition phase. They prepare the cardiovascular system, activate large muscle groups, and begin shifting the body toward fat-burning metabolism. But the real turning point in this routine comes with the second movement, which adds a powerful element most people completely overlook when exercising. It involves something very simple, but when added after those first minutes of marching, it dramatically increases how many muscles are working at the same time. And that movement is controlled squatting. Now that the body is warm and circulation has increased from the marching movement, we introduce the second exercise, controlled squats. This is where the routine begins activating some of the most powerful muscles in the entire body. And when large muscles work together, the body burns significantly more energy. But here's something I always tell my patients. The goal is not speed. It is control. Stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. Keep your chest lifted and your back straight. Slowly bend your knees and push your hips slightly backward, as if you were about to sit in a chair. You don't need to go very low. Even a half squat is enough. Then, slowly return to standing. The movement should take about 3 seconds down and 3 seconds up. This slower pace is extremely important because it forces the muscles to stay under tension longer. And muscles under tension burn more energy than quick, careless repetitions. For the next 3 minutes, alternate between 2 or 3 squats, followed by a few steps of marching in place. This combination keeps the heart rate elevated without overwhelming the body. Inside your body, several beneficial things begin happening during these minutes. First, the large muscles of the thighs and glutes activate strongly. These muscles are metabolically expensive, meaning they require significant energy to contract. Second, the body begins releasing hormones and signaling molecules that improve insulin sensitivity. In simple terms, this helps your body handle blood sugar more efficiently, which over time can reduce fat storage. Third, squatting movements stimulate the core muscles that support the spine. These muscles act like a natural support belt for your lower back. Many people with chronic back pain actually have weak core stabilizers. Strengthening them gently through controlled squats can gradually reduce strain on the spine. One of my patients, a woman in her early 70s, began doing this routine every morning. After several weeks, she returned to the clinic and told me something I hear often. "Doctor, my knees actually feel better." This surprises many people. But when done properly, squats help the joints by improving circulation around them and encouraging the production of joint fluid that lubricates cartilage. Of course, if someone has severe joint problems, they should move carefully and consult their doctor. But for most people, controlled squatting is one of the most natural human movements. Our ancestors performed it constantly while sitting, lifting, and working. By the time you finish these 3 minutes of alternating squats and marching, something important has happened. Your body is now fully awake, Your heart rate is elevated, your muscles are active, and your metabolism is shifting into a more active state. But the final part of the routine is what ties everything together. Because fat burning and healing do not depend only on muscle activity. They also depend heavily on how we breathe during movement. And the third exercise focuses on something most people completely ignore: breathing combined with gentle twisting movements of the torso. Now we arrive at the final movement of the routine, and in my experience, it is the one most people underestimate the most. It combines breathing and gentle torso rotation. After 6 or 7 minutes of movement, your muscles are already active, your circulation has improved, and your metabolism has begun shifting into a more energetic state. This is the perfect moment to activate the muscles of the core and upper body while calming the nervous system at the same time. Stand with your feet comfortably apart. Relax your shoulders. Now, place your hands lightly in front of your chest, or allow your arms to hang loosely at your sides. Begin slowly rotating your upper body to the left, then slowly rotate to the right. The movement should come from the waist and torso, not from swinging the arms wildly. At the same time, begin practicing slow, deep breathing. Inhale gently through your nose as you rotate to one side. Exhale slowly through your mouth as you rotate to the other side. Continue this movement for about 3 minutes. This simple action does several important things inside the body. First, twisting motions activate the core muscles that support the spine, especially the obliques and the deeper stabilizing muscles around the abdomen. Second, the twisting motion gently stimulates the organs of the abdomen, including the digestive system and the liver. These organs play an important role in how the body processes nutrients and regulates fat metabolism. Third, and this is something many people forget, slow breathing directly affects the nervous system. When breathing becomes deeper and slower, the body begins shifting toward the parasympathetic state, often called the rest and repair mode. This state is essential for healing. It lowers stress hormones, improves digestion, and allows tissues to recover from daily strain. So during these final 3 minutes, something powerful happens. Your muscles remain active from the earlier movements. Your heart rate stays elevated enough to continue burning energy. But your breathing begins calming the nervous system at the same time. This combination, movement plus controlled breathing, is what makes the routine feel surprisingly refreshing instead of exhausting. Many of my patients tell me that after completing the full 10 minutes, they feel lighter, more awake, and mentally clearer. Not drained, not sore, just energized. But the most interesting changes usually appear after people repeat this routine consistently for several weeks, because the body responds remarkably well to small habits practiced daily. And that is exactly what we'll talk about in the final part of this story. After patients practiced this routine for a few weeks, many of them came back to my clinic with similar observations. Nothing dramatic, nothing unrealistic, but real changes. One patient told me his morning stiffness decreased. Another said her energy improved in the afternoon, a time when she normally felt exhausted. Several patients noticed that their sleep became deeper, and of course, many began seeing gradual changes in body composition as well. Not overnight weight loss, but slow, steady fat reduction. This is exactly what we want from any healthy routine. The human body does not respond well to extreme shocks. Crash diets and overly intense workouts often lead to short-term results, followed by burnout or injury. But the body responds beautifully to consistent signals, and that is exactly what this 10-minute routine provides. Let me summarize the 3 parts again, so you can clearly understand the structure. First, you begin with marching in place for about 3 minutes. This gently increases circulation, activates the large muscles of the legs, and gradually elevates the heart rate. Second, you move into controlled squats combined with short periods of marching for about 4 minutes. This activates powerful muscle groups in the legs and hips while improving metabolic activity and joint stability. Finally, you finish with slow torso rotations combined with deep breathing for the last 3 minutes. This engages the core muscles, improves mobility of the spine, and shifts the nervous system into a calmer state. 10 minutes. That's all. But those 10 minutes send powerful signals throughout the body. Muscles activate. Circulation improves. Fat metabolism increases. The nervous system resets. And perhaps most importantly, you remind your body that it is designed to move every day. At 57 years old, I still perform this short routine myself most mornings before breakfast. Not because I believe in quick fixes, but because I believe in small habits repeated over a lifetime. If there is one lesson I have learned after decades of practicing medicine, it is this. The body does not require perfection. It requires consistency. 10 minutes of intentional movement each day can often do more for long-term health than occasional bursts of extreme effort. And sometimes the simplest routines are the ones that help the body stay strong, balanced, and resilient for many years to come.